The flashing lights of Hollywood had seen countless love stories, but none quite like this. When music mogul P Diddy and rising superstar Zendaya first crossed paths at an exclusive gala in New York, no one could have predicted what would follow. Diddy, a legend in the music industry, had built an empire with his talent, ambition, and undeniable charm. Zendaya, a young actress and singer, had captivated the world with her grace, intelligence, and unwavering authenticity. They belonged to different generations, different worlds, but that night, something clicked. As Zendaya gracefully made her way through the crowd, her golden dress shimmering under the chandeliers, Diddy couldn't help but admire her presence. He had seen many stars in his time, but there was something different about her. She carried herself with a confidence that felt effortless. "You always this poised, or is it just for tonight?" he asked with a playful smirk as he handed her a glass of champagne. Zendaya chuckled, raising an eyebrow. "And you always this smooth, or is it just for me?" Their conversation flowed like a melody, effortless, electric. The party faded into the background as they talked about everything: music, art, the pressures of fame. They discovered a shared love for jazz, a passion for storytelling, and a mutual understanding of what it meant to be constantly in the public eye. What started as flirtations soon became something deeper. Late-night studio sessions turned into sunrise conversations. Paparazzi began capturing stolen glances, secret rendezvous, and undeniable chemistry. The world speculated, criticized, and gossiped. But behind the flashing cameras, behind the headlines, their connection was real. Yet, not everyone approved. Their age difference, their careers, their worlds, it was all too different. "This isn't just a phase, is it?" Zendaya once asked, vulnerability flickering in her eyes. Diddy took her hand, his voice steady. "I've seen a lot, done a lot. But this is something I don't want to let go of." But could love withstand the weight of fame, expectations, and their own pasts? The world watched as rumors swirled. Some called their relationship a publicity stunt. Others whispered about the challenges ahead: Diddy's past, Zendaya's future. But inside their private world, none of that mattered. Until the night everything changed. It was supposed to be a quiet evening, just the two of them in a secluded villa in Malibu. Diddy had set up an intimate dinner on the balcony, candlelight flickering against the ocean breeze. He was planning to tell her something important, something he had never told anyone. But before he could, Zendaya's phone buzzed. She hesitated before looking at the screen. A text. Then another. Her face paled. "What is it?" Diddy asked, watching her expression shift. She looked up, her eyes filled with something he couldn't quite read. "Someone leaked a story to the press, about us." Diddy leaned back, exhaling. "Baby, the press is always talking. We knew this would happen." Zendaya shook her head. "No, this is different. They're saying you're still in love with your ex." Diddy's jaw tightened. He didn't need to check his phone to know what was happening. He had spent years rebuilding himself after past relationships, some beautiful, some painful. But the media never let go of his history. And now, they were dragging Zendaya into it. "You don't believe that, do you?" he asked, his voice low. She hesitated just long enough for him to notice. "I don't know what to believe," she admitted. "You've lived a whole life before me, Sean. Sometimes I feel like I'm just a new chapter in a book that's already been written." His heart ached at her words. He reached for her hand. "You're not a chapter. You're the whole damn story." She wanted to believe him. She almost did. But before she could answer, her phone rang again. This time, The call was from someone she never expected. Her agent. "Zendaya, you need to come back to LA now," the voice said urgently. "Something big is happening. And it involves him." She turned to Diddy, eyes full of questions. "What's going on?" He looked away for a moment before meeting her gaze. "There's something I need to tell you." The air between them thickened with tension. The waves crashed against the cliffs below, but inside the villa, silence pressed down like a heavy weight. Zendaya's phone was still clutched in her hand, the call from her agent lingering in the back of her mind. But her focus was on Diddy now. "What do you need to tell me?" she asked, her voice steady, but her heart racing. Diddy leaned forward, rubbing his hands together as if trying to find the right words. He had never been the type to explain himself, his life had always been an open book, for better or worse. But with Zendaya, things were different. She made him want to be honest. To be real. "There's something I didn't tell you," he started, looking her in the eyes. "A few weeks ago, Cassie reached out to me." Zendaya froze. She knew about Cassie, everyone did. The long history, the breakups, the rumors. Diddy had assured her it was all in the past, that he had moved on. Zendaya swallowed hard. And? She needed help, Diddy admitted. Nothing romantic. "She was in a bad situation, and I sent some people to make sure she was safe." Zendaya's mind raced. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want you to worry," he said. "And I didn't think it would ever come out. But the press, they twist everything." Zendaya exhaled slowly. "So that's what they're saying? That you're still in love with her?" Diddy nodded. "And I won't lie to you, Cassie was a big part of my life. But that's over. What I have with you, Z, it's different." She wanted to believe him. She almost did. But there was a nagging voice in her head, what if this was just another chapter in a long history of unfinished love stories? Before she could answer, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a news notification. Her stomach dropped as she read the headline. "Breaking P. Diddy and Zendaya's romance faces shocking betrayal, secret meetings with ex revealed." Attached to the article was a blurry photo. It showed Diddy in a parking garage, speaking to Cassie late at night. Zendaya's breath caught in her throat. "Sean, what is this?" Diddy's face darkened. He grabbed his phone, scanning the article quickly. "This is bullshit. That was the night I helped her. I swear." But Zendaya wasn't sure what to think anymore. She stood up, suddenly feeling the walls of the villa closing in. "I need some air." She walked out onto the balcony, wrapping her arms around herself as the wind whipped her hair. She had spent her whole life protecting her image, staying out of scandals. And now, she was part of one. Diddy followed her, his voice softer now. "Z, don't let them get in your head. You know what's real." She turned to face him, her eyes filled with doubt. "Do I?" For the first time, Diddy looked scared. He had fought for a lot of things in his life, money, fame, power. But this? This was the first time he felt like he was fighting for love. And he wasn't sure if he was winning. Zendaya didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, Diddy's words playing in her mind on a loop. "You know what's real." Did she? By morning, she had made a decision. She needed space. When Diddy woke up, he found a note on the bedside table. "I need time to think. Don't call me." His heart sank. He had faced a lot of things in life, betrayal, loss, heartbreak, but the thought of losing her felt different. Zendaya disappeared from the public eye for a week. No red carpets, no social media posts, no paparazzi shots. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some said she had left him for good. Others claimed she was already seeing someone else. The truth? She was in Italy. Far away from Hollywood, far away from the noise. She spent her days walking through the quiet streets of Rome, trying to clear her mind. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't escape him. Every love song, every late-night thought, it all led back to Diddy. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the Colosseum, she sat alone in a cafe, stirring her espresso absent-mindedly. "Didn't think I'd find you here." Her breath caught. She turned, and there he was. Diddy. Dressed in all black, sunglasses low on his nose, standing in front of her like a scene from a movie. She blinked. "What are you doing here?" "I gave you time," he said. "Now I'm here to fight for us." Zendaya exhaled, shaking her head. "You can't just fly across the world and expect everything to be okay." "I know that," he admitted, sitting down across from her. "But I also know I can't let you go without a fight." Silence stretched between them. Finally, Zendaya looked up. "Why me?" Diddy leaned forward, his voice steady. "Because you make me want to be better. Because with you, it's not about fame or power. It's real. And I don't care what the world says, I'm not losing you." Her heart pounded. She had spent the last week convincing herself that walking away was the right thing to do. But sitting here, looking at him, she realized something. She wasn't ready to say goodbye. Not yet. Zendaya sighed, staring into the depths of her untouched espresso. Every fiber of her being wanted to resist him, to push him away just as she had convinced herself she should. But Diddy had always had a way of breaking through walls, hers, the industry's, the world's. "You make this so damn hard," she muttered, glancing up at him. Diddy smirked, leaning back in his chair. "Love's not supposed to be easy, Z." She hated that he was right. For a long moment, they just sat there, the warm Italian breeze brushing over them, the cafe's quiet hum filling the silence. And then, just as Zendaya was about to say something, her phone buzzed. She hesitated before looking at the screen. It was her agent. Again. Zendaya swallowed and answered. "Hey. You need to get back to LA now." Her agent's voice was sharp, urgent. Zendaya frowned. "What's going on?" There was a pause. Then, in a lower voice, "A new story just broke. Diddy's being investigated." Zendaya's heart stopped. She looked up at Diddy, her fingers tightening around her phone. He raised an eyebrow, noticing the shift in her expression. "What is it?" he asked. She shook her head slowly, still processing. I don't know yet." Diddy's phone buzzed next. He picked it up, his face darkening as he read the text on the screen. Zendaya watched his jaw tighten, his body go rigid. Then, without a word, he stood up. "Sean," Zendaya said cautiously. "What's happening?" He didn't answer right away. He slid his phone into his pocket, running a hand over his face before finally meeting her gaze. "I need to handle this." Zendaya stood too, grabbing his wrist. "Handle what?" Diddy exhaled sharply, eyes scanning the cafe as if the walls had ears. He leaned in close, lowering his voice. "Someone's trying to take me down. And if you stay with me, they'll come after you too." Her stomach twisted. What do you mean? I mean, he said slowly, this is bigger than just some gossip column. This is real. For the first time since they had met, Zendaya saw something in Diddy's eyes that scared her. Fear. Zendaya's breath hitched. Diddy was never afraid. He was the man who built an empire, who faced the world with confidence that couldn't be shaken. But now? Now he looked like someone who had seen a ghost. She tightened her grip on his wrist. Sean, talk to me. What's going on? Diddy glanced around the cafe, lowering his voice. This isn't about Cassie or some love triangle drama. It's deeper than that. Someone's been digging into my past, business deals, connections, everything. And they want to bury me. Zendaya swallowed hard. Who? Diddy hesitated. His eyes darkened. I don't know yet. Zendaya pulled back slightly, studying him. You're telling me people are trying to bury you, and you don't even know who? Diddy clenched his jaw. I have my suspicions. Before she could press him further, his phone buzzed again. He checked the screen and cursed under his breath. I need to go, he said, stepping away. Zendaya grabbed his hand. Sean, stop. You don't get to show up in Rome, tell me people are trying to destroy you, and then just walk away. Diddy turned back to her, his face serious. Z, if you stay with me, they'll drag you into this too. Your name, your career, everything you've built. Zendaya let out a shaky breath. And if I walk away? You think that'll stop them? He stared at her for a long moment. Then, softer, he said, I don't know. Silence stretched between them. Then, suddenly, Zendaya's phone buzzed again. She hesitated before glancing down at the screen. Another news alert. Breaking, federal investigation into Diddy's business empire, major names involved. Her hands went cold. She scrolled down. Her heart nearly stopped when she saw her own name mentioned. Sources claim actress Zendaya Coleman may have unknowingly been connected through recent dealings with the music mogul. She looked up at Diddy, her pulse racing. Sean, tell me this isn't real. Diddy didn't blink. I don't know what they have. But I promise you, whatever happens, I won't let them touch you. Zendaya's head spun. Just a week ago, she had been caught up in the kind of love story people only dreamed about. Now, she was in the middle of something dangerous. And the worst part? She wasn't sure she wanted to walk away. Zendaya's fingers trembled as she scrolled through the article. Her name, her reputation, everything she had worked for, was now tangled in something she didn't even understand. She looked up at Diddy, her voice barely above a whisper. How did my name get dragged into this? Diddy exhaled slowly. Because they know you're close to me. That's all it takes. She clenched her jaw. That's not an answer, Sean. Are they investigating you, or is there something I don't know? Diddy hesitated. That half-second pause told her everything. Her stomach sank. Oh my God. There is something. Diddy leaned forward, lowering his voice. Listen to me, Z. I built an empire, and in this business, that means making enemies. Some of them don't play fair. I don't know what the feds think they have, but I do know they'll use anything to tear me down, including you. Zendaya pushed her chair back, suddenly feeling suffocated. I came to Rome to get away from all of this. And now, I'm somehow inside it? Diddy reached for her hand. I didn't want this to happen to you. She pulled away. But it did. A long silence. The air between them was thick with unspoken words. Then Zendaya's phone rang. She flinched at the sound before glancing at the screen. Her agent. She picked up. "What now?" Her agent's voice was sharp. "You need to come back to LA immediately. Your legal team wants a statement. And Zendaya, the studio is reconsidering your next film." Her blood ran cold. She had fought so hard to keep her career clean, to stay away from scandals. Now, all of that was crumbling. She hung up slowly and looked at Diddy, her heart pounding. "I have to go." His expression darkened. "Z, you don't have to let them control the narrative." She shook her head. "You don't get it. This isn't just your world, Sean. This is mine too. And right now, I have to save myself." Diddy stood, jaw clenched. "So that's it? You're leaving?" She hesitated, emotions warring inside her. "I don't know." But the truth was, she did know. She had to walk away. Didn't she? Zendaya didn't look back. She packed her bags that night and caught the first flight to Los Angeles, her heart heavy with every step. The moment she landed, chaos greeted her. Paparazzi swarmed LAX, shouting questions she wasn't ready to answer. "Zendaya, are you still with Diddy? Are you involved in the investigation? Did he lie to you?" Her security team rushed her into a waiting SUV, but the damage was already done. By the time she reached her home, her phone was flooded with texts from co-stars, directors, even her mother. Her agent was already inside, waiting. "You need to make a statement." Zendaya threw her bag down, rubbing her temples. "And say what?" Her agent hesitated. "That you had no idea what was going on. That you and Diddy aren't involved anymore." Zendaya's heart clenched. The words tasted like betrayal. "You're telling me to throw him under the bus?" Her agent sighed. "I'm telling you to protect yourself." Silence stretched between them. Zendaya picked up her phone and scrolled through her recent calls. Diddy had texted her once. "I get it. Just be safe. No anger. No blame. Just understanding." She stared at the message for a long time before typing. "I need to know the truth. All of it." A few minutes later, her phone rang. "Diddy." She answered without hesitation. "Tell me everything." His voice was low, almost a whisper. "Not over the phone. If you really want the truth, meet me." Zendaya closed her eyes. She had spent years making smart choices, avoiding drama, protecting her career. But this wasn't just about her anymore. And something in her gut told her that if she walked away now, she might never forgive herself. "Where?" she asked. A pause. Then, "New York. Midnight. I'll send you the address." Zendaya took a deep breath. She was in. Zendaya sat in the back of a black SUV, staring out at the glowing skyline of New York. Midnight had arrived, and with it, the feeling that she was crossing a line she could never uncross. The address Diddy sent led to a discreet, high-rise penthouse in Tribeca. No paparazzi. No security outside. Just silence. Her driver parked, but before she could second-guess herself, she stepped out. The elevator ride to the top floor felt endless. When the doors finally slid open, Diddy was waiting. He looked different. Tired. On edge. The usual confidence in his eyes was replaced with something darker. I wasn't sure you'd come, he admitted. Zendaya folded her arms. You said if I wanted the truth, I had to meet you. Diddy gestured for her to follow. They moved past sleek leather couches and floor-to-ceiling windows, stopping in a dimly lit lounge. On the glass table in front of them were stacks of documents, an old burner phone, and a flash drive. Zendaya sat slowly, her pulse quickening. What is this? Diddy ran a hand over his face before meeting her gaze. The reason they're coming after me. He slid a folder toward her. Inside were financial records, offshore accounts, and emails, some from powerful names in the industry. Names that made Zendaya's stomach turn. Her voice was barely a whisper. What the hell is this, Sean? Diddy exhaled. This isn't just about me. There are people, big people, who've been moving money, controlling careers, covering up things the public will never know. I got too close to the truth. And now? They want to make me the fall guy. Zendaya flipped through the pages, each one making her chest tighter. Are you saying you're innocent? Diddy hesitated. I'm saying I've done things I'm not proud of. But not this. Not what they're trying to pin on me. Zendaya's hands shook as she picked up the flash drive. What's on here? Diddy's expression darkened. Proof. Of everything. Silence. Then Zendaya set the flash drive down carefully. So why are you showing me this? Diddy leaned forward. Because you're the only person I trust. Her heart pounded. She wanted to believe him. She almost did. But there was one thing she couldn't shake. If this is all true, she said slowly, then they won't just be coming for you. Diddy met her gaze. I know. For the first time, Zendaya realized she was in deeper than she ever intended. And there was no way out. Zendaya stared at the flash drive in her hand, feeling its weight as if it carried the fate of her entire world. If what Diddy said was true, then she wasn't just caught in a scandal, she was sitting on a time bomb. She swallowed hard. If this gets out, it won't just ruin careers, Sean. It could destroy lives. Diddy nodded. That's why I need to know, are you with me, or are you walking away? Zendaya closed her eyes, breathing in deeply. Every part of her screamed to protect herself, to run, to let Diddy fight his own battles. But she wasn't built that way. She opened her eyes, resolve settling in. I'm in. Diddy's shoulders relaxed for the first time that night. Then we don't have much time. The setup. The plan was simple, but dangerous. Diddy had already arranged a private meeting with an investigative journalist, someone who wasn't owned by the media machine. If they could get the files to him, the truth would be unstoppable. But as Zendaya grabbed her coat, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Walk away before it's too late. Her stomach dropped. She showed the message to Diddy. His jaw tightened. They know we're moving. He grabbed the flash drive and slipped it into his pocket. Change of plans. We leave now. The escape. They took the back exit of the penthouse, slipping into an unmarked black SUV. As the driver pulled onto the darkened streets of New York, Zendaya's pulse raced. Halfway to their destination, she noticed headlights in the side mirror. The same black SUV had been following them for 5 blocks. Zendaya turned to Diddy. We're being tailed. Diddy didn't flinch. He pulled out his phone and sent a quick text. I got people waiting at the meetup. They won't touch us there. But Zendaya wasn't so sure. Suddenly, the SUV behind them sped up. A loud thud shook their vehicle. "They're trying to run us off the road," the driver yelled. Diddy gritted his teeth. "Lose them." The car swerved through the streets, dodging traffic, but the pursuers weren't giving up. Zendaya's heart pounded. Then, tires screeched. Headlights flashed. A massive truck crossed the intersection just as their SUV made a sharp turn. The pursuing car wasn't as lucky. With a deafening crash, it slammed into the truck. Zendaya gasped, twisting to look back. Smoke rose from the wreck, but there was no time to stop. Diddy grabbed her hand. "We're almost there." The truth unleashed. They reached the meeting spot, a secluded rooftop overlooking the city. A man in a hoodie waited, laptop open. The journalist. Diddy handed him the flash drive. "This is everything." The man nodded, plugging it in. As he scanned the files, his face paled. This is bigger than I thought," he muttered. Zendaya watched, her stomach in knots. "What happens now?" The journalist looked up. "Now? The world finds out." The aftermath. The story broke the next morning. It was everywhere. Headlines exploded with revelations about corruption, hidden deals, and the powerful figures pulling strings in the industry. It wasn't just about Diddy, this went all the way to the top. Zendaya braced herself for the fallout. The calls, the accusations, the fear of losing everything. But something unexpected happened. The world believed her. She wasn't painted as a scandalous girlfriend caught in the storm, she was a hero. The woman who helped expose a system built on lies. Diddy, however, wasn't as lucky. While the files proved he wasn't the mastermind behind the corruption, his past dealings made him an easy target. Authorities launched investigations, and soon, he had no choice but to disappear from the public eye. One night, weeks after it all came crashing down, Zendaya received a message. "Unknown number. I had to leave. But I'll always be watching over you. S." She stared at the screen, a bittersweet smile forming. She had saved herself. She had saved the truth. But she had lost him. Maybe, in another life, their love could have survived. But in this one? It was just another story.